Brant, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing okay. Trying to make a moves.
Has it been tough on you because every weekend you are traveling somewhere?
You know what? It hasn't been because I know the layout of the next month, right? When I have a plan, when I know what I'm doing, I build what I'm going to be doing. So I've been like making some amazing differences around the house. I've been renovating. I've been working on stuff. It's been a really good experience from that side. And then just so much virtual stuff I'm just trying to get all that stuff organized as well.
Don't you love this whole breakout rooms and this opportunity to connect with people virtually anywhere in the world?
Yeah, it's well, listen, that's a whole thing that I'll get into.
Well, let's talk about
Yes,
it.
I
So
sort of
you're
like it. I sort of don't like it. It's not what everybody thinks it is. I'm not sold on it quite yet.
well, you were all around the 3-minute rule. You've taught us how to actually pitch very quickly and concisely, but you did it in an environment to where we're in a meeting. We're actually meeting with somebody. Now it's
Yeah.
virtual. How can you translate that now to a Zoom environment or a virtual environment to do the right pitch?
I gotta tell you, it's not easy. Let me give you a little bit of. Now I can share my screen.
We can see
Let's
it.
see. You saw it?
Well, I mean, I can see it from your TV.
Oh, not ideal. Let's try that then. Here we go. Let's try that again. Well, here's the thing. Zoom is here for a while, right? And that's the issue. And I have been training people how to pitch and present with the 3-minute rule. And virtual doesn't really change a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? You still got to be at its core simple, right? That's a really important element of it. But when you look at what's happening in the marketplace today, people are talking about virtual presentations and trying to translate that. And I get it. Everybody wants to be on board and jump into it and be like, yes, everything's going virtual, but the world isn't really like that. It's not going virtual in the same way. It's a temporary fix. Let me show you what I mean. If you look at the ways you could make a presentation, right? Email, phone, virtual meeting, you can pop in and have a quick meeting, elevator kind of non-scheduled one, or you can schedule a meeting. These all have different wins and losses, right? And if you look about it, email, very concise, okay? Non-intrusive, which is important, but all of the negative sides of email and phone, right? It's not personal. You can't make a really great connection and be compelling. And it's the call to action is really hard. On a phone, it's even worse because it's a little bit personal, but not really. Again, really hard to do. If you look at the pop-in meeting when you see somebody, good news is, of course, you have to make it simple because it's fast. But more importantly, you get that personal connection. You get to see people. You get to be involved with them. You get to make that connection, and that call to action is important. If you have a scheduled meeting, yes, they take a long time. They're super intrusive because people got to stop their day to meet with you. But that's where the big win is, right? The big win is that you got this personalized action. You can be super engaging, and you got that call to action. That's why everybody's leaning toward these scheduled meetings, and that's why they work from a sales perspective. Let's look at the virtual meeting, right? Right between them, you got to figure that is the best of all worlds, right? The virtual meeting has best of all worlds, just like the El Camino was the best of all worlds, right? It had the truck bed and it was a car. Like the mullet is the best of all worlds, right?
No, it's not.
That's right. That's the whole idea. So it's like the truth of the matter is virtual meetings suck. They're never going to replace a personal meeting, no matter what happens. I think at the end of this COVID issue, people will be like, oh my God, I do not want to do virtual meetings. We thought we were leading there. They don't work, right? That's what I think. So the idea is, how can you make them suck less? That's important. And that's what I've been training and working on a lot, is how to make the virtual meeting feel a bit better, right? Because a virtual meeting right now is super not concise. People yap on it like crazy. It's very invasive. You're asking someone to turn on their camera right in the middle of their life, right in the middle of their element, wherever they are. They got to deal with their backdrop. Can you see them? All that stuff is a pain in the ass for people, and they don't like it. It's very non-personal, even though you're with, because that screen doesn't convey that. Unfortunately, people have a real hard time making it compelling, and the call to action is very difficult. So ironically, the virtual meeting is actually the worst. So the truth is, on any meeting, the 3-minute rule, what I've been training, is really still the core of it. Everything about your business, product, or service conveyed clearly and concisely and accurately in 3 minutes or less, still really important. You definitely want to try to illustrate value, capture and maintain attention, and create engagement, right? It is a hypersensitive audience out there, as we all know, but it is also in the virtual world a semi-captive audience. Think about it. People don't need to be worried about what happens outside of their frame. Their wives come in, their dog's there, they're looking at their phone, they can check another screen, they can talk to other people. All they're worried about is that frame. So you only have a semi-captivated audience. And I always talk about this Microsoft study that shows that our attention span is less than a goldfish. So really it becomes, what do you do in that virtual presentation? So I'll give you what I call the triple Ds. These are better than double Ds. Think of them like Total Recall, the triple Ds, right? Very important, very exciting for people. First one is directive, okay? Second one is direct. Third one is director. Those are the 3 Ds you need to think of. Directive, okay? When you're thinking about directive, is that you got to have a purpose of the meeting. Ask yourself right at the beginning, why is this a meeting? Why isn't it a phone call? Just because you have the ability to turn your camera on does not mean you should. Why don't you FaceTime everybody you talk to? Because it's not the preferred method of conversation when you talk mobile. It's not the preferred message. A meeting, face-to-face talking requires effort. So you need to have a reason for having that meeting, and you need to keep that at the very top of what you're doing, right? Focus on the why. So if you want to walk some through a presentation, make sure the presentation is at your core. If you want to demonstrate a product, make sure that demonstrating the product is what you get to, and you go do that. If you want to form personal connections, you form personal connections, right? That's the piece. The other D is called direct. Now, here's the deal. It's like, in a virtual meeting, it is not about what you want to say. It is what needs to be said. It is not like going on a road trip with friends for a few hours. It does not give you a license to yap on and on about anything that's going on just because you're in someone's virtual living room. It doesn't work like that, right? So I always go to what I teach in the book, which is called the WAC method. Try to filter your presentation into those 4 key categories quickly. What is it? How does it work? Are you sure? And can you do it, right? That's the opportunity, the actual process of how it works. Facts, figures, logic, and reason can back that up. And what and who you are and how they get it, right? That's the direct approach. Be clear and concise. The last piece is director, okay? You need to be the director. Ken's incredibly good at this when he gets on this Zoom meeting. He is directing you what to do, what to look at, where to be, what to do. At the end of the day, there's a reason why virtual reality movies have never been a thing. It's because we as an audience want to be directed. We want to know where to go and what to look at. So I won't get into all the technical stuff, microphones, lighting, all that kind of crap. I have a whole section of that. Anybody wants information on that, I can help with that. But one of the big first keys is in that area is don't do casual, okay? Don't do a casual meeting on a virtual meeting. Don't be in your kitchen, in a robe, in a t-shirt. Don't make it seem like you just kind of showed up out of the blue, because that sends the message to your audience that that's what this meeting is. It is just a general conversation. It's not important. There are 3 key elements to do that as you go through this. One is to frame the conversation. Framing the conversation means you've only got this frame. So you need to use that frame as part of your physical presence. In a personal meeting, you have physical presence. I'm 6'3". I wander around. I know how to pause. I know how to deal with people on a presence level. When you're in a virtual situation, there is none of that. So what you need to do is use that frame that you have to lean in when you're saying something bad. Changing the frame is really important so that you control that frame. Hands are another huge piece. It's a little juvenile, but it's really important. Is if you're looking, I use my hands for everything in a virtual meeting way more than I would on a literal meeting, because we need to see things. We need to draw to the frame that you're in. I am directing you to listen, to talk. You are following along. That's really important. And at the end of the day, visuals matter. If you're sharing your screen, if you're walking through things, you've got to be able to come in and out of that screen. You can't just make a slideshow.
Brant, how about tonality?
Listen, most important is to be direct, right? And always be in control. Like I said, Ken, you're incredibly good at that. You are always in control of the meeting. So the tone has to be specific and in control. And for example, when you're going to go to somebody and if you want to ask them a question, the way to do that effectively and controlling the meeting is to say, so I'm going to go to Ken here in a minute. Ken, I'm going to unmute your microphone. And I want to ask you about the fourth quarter results that we got and how you interpreted those numbers. So you're giving the person the warning. You are controlling the situation. If you do that kind of stuff, if you think about those things, like have a clear directive, be direct and to the point, and you be the director of the elements. And so that people know where to look, when to look, and what to focus on. And that's sort of the core of what I teach in the 3-minute rule. And that's some of the basics.
Hey, Brant, if we had come over to your house, what kind of things will we discover in your backyard?
Well, I got mini ponies, which is pretty cool. Got some horses. I got a Benihana grill that I took right out of a Benihana. So
It's awesome.
that's pretty cool.
That grill.
Yeah, I like that too. So that's been pretty good. So yeah, Kenny's been there. So yeah, we do a lot of that stuff. So
I mean, your house is an adventure house.
yeah, well, listen, there's worse places to be quarantined. Everybody asks how you doing out there. It's like, I do pretty good. It's fine.
You do a great job.
Yeah.
The book is killing it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a fun book.
Lucky. Yeah, lucky.
It's a
Got
fun
lucky
book.
on that one.
And you've taken a lot of metal guys on a nice journey. Your adventure stuff will start back up when?
I have an off-road trip that I'm trying to put together in the next little bit. Just because if you're going to go out to the desert, I could take 8 people. There's nobody around. That's social distancing. So I'm working on that right now. When it's going to be socially acceptable to do that. If I did that right now, I'd get killed on my Instagram. People would be so furious because the mob is out there like a crazy lunatics. So I got to be careful of that. But mostly summer stuff. I got a bunch of summer stuff. I got a big sailing and vacation. I got a whole bunch of stuff for summer.
Where
So
can we
we'll see
find
if
out
those
more?
all hold.
Where can we find out more?
See me at brantpinvidic.com, 3minuterule.com. I'm
Put it
easy
inside
to
the
find.
portal. Put it inside the metal portal.
Absolutely. I'll be all portaled up.
Hey, buddy, appreciate it. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us.
Anytime.